Oh, here we are, team. Here we are. We're down here. I'm in Sydney. Sydney today. Here for the weekend. I did some work today for a fantastic business called C&B Safe. We're living the dream for them. So I'm just waiting for Ros to come on now, and we'll hopefully we'll invite her and we'll see her. Rebecca Scarborough, hello girl. Faith Hutchinson. Hopefully Ros Waters comes on. Craig Blake, how you doing, buddy? And hopefully this is resumed. It just said the broadcast has disappeared. Let's hope Ros comes on soon. Come on, Ros. Come on, girl. Anyway, I'm going to tell you what we're talking about today. So, today's topic is care factor. Care factor high. Now, what do we mean by care factor high? Well, there's been a lot of research done around, I suppose, happiness and what happiness looks like. And one of the things that is big in the happiness space, I'm actually going to write a book around this, seriously. One of the big things in the happiness space is that people who are giving, people who are care factor high for other people, are happier individuals, right? So the theory is this, that when we make others happy and when we make others smile, guess what? That makes us smile. So, and the challenge is though that we don't want to do everything for other people and forget about ourselves, right? So, hello Tammy. So the care factor high thing is doing it for the right reasons, and the right reasons is so that you put a smile on someone else's face, not so that you warm your own heart. It's sort of like the chicken and the egg, and it's like when we talk happiness, there's another word that always goes in line with happiness, and it's success. So people regularly sort of say, you know, I'm successful, so I'm happy. And the research tells us that's not right. That people, oh, sorry, I'm successful, so I'm happy, and that's not actually right. The research tells us that you actually get happy first. There's a thought for you. You get happy first, and then you get successful. And that's why happy people are successful, because they do happiness first. So here's the thing. That's why when we say care factor loop lots, we're actually talking about do it for the right reasons, chicken or the egg stuff. So do care factor for other people for the right reasons, and that's to put a smile on their dial. Now, by putting a smile on other people's dial, hello Tani Guinea, hello girl, how are you, my little niece? God love you. It's just started in the police force. Jim Valerie joining us on a Friday afternoon. We're still waiting for Ros, team. I don't know what Ros is doing. Hopefully she'll be on soon. So, and hopefully you can hear me. Can you just give me a thumbs up? Paul Veach, how are you, brother? What's going on? Mark Cuthall, how are you, champion? So today, for anyone that just joined us, is all about care factor high. And I'm coming to you all the way from the Edinburgh, hello Matt Doyle, the Edinburgh pub, which sounds very Irish. Irish, the luck of the Irish. I was just talking to my old mate Joe Vaughan. I'm sitting in an Irish pub and I'm texting my Irish mate from Melbourne, who I'm going to see hopefully on Sunday night. And we're talking about care factor and what care factor means, team. Now I'm going to tell you what care factor means. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 things. Hello Mark Cuthall, always gives me a thumbs up. First thing about care factor high is that do things for other people that can't, for people that can't give back, right? If you're giving for someone else and you're expecting in return, that's not care factor, team. That's reciprocation, that's bartering, that's the barter system. And the barter system's all right. Just remember that it's not care factor. It's bartering, it's giving, waiting for something in return. So if you can be care factor high, what it means is that you're giving. Ros Waters is watching. We're waiting for Ros to come on. Hopefully she'll join in soon. Here we go, approve. It's giving without receiving. That's care factor high. It's giving because you give a shit. It's giving because you give a shit, Harry Taralandis. I'm down in your neck of the woods today, brother. I'm in the main street of Sydney. It's as noisy as shit. We're at the Edinburgh Hotel. We're living the dream. I don't know where to go. Hello, girl.
Hang on. Hey. Hang on, I'm moving.
I can't hear you yet. My end. Can you hear me? I can hear me. I can't really hear you. I don't know what's going on there, girl.
You can't hear me.
Keep going. What to do is you get something back to give a shit. There you go. Now, here's the thing about giving because you give a shit. It's called paying it forward. Now, Ros, can you hear me yet? Oh, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hang on.
I'm going to keep going for a second. We can't hear you. I'm going to keep drinking. Some of mean by pay it forward. And if you haven't watched the movie, I'm telling you, get out what Jane's perspective on giving to other people. And my perspective on giving to other people. And my coming through to you, I can't hear you. Can you hear me, Jade? Jade, can you hear me at all?
Oh, there you go. Can you hear me now?
Oh, that's better.
Oh,
Never look down on anyone unless you're in their shoes. Nice work, Tammy. I love your work. Were you on mute, Ros, were you?
Yeah, I just was having issues. There's a lot of noise here. I'm at the light box.
Maybe get closer to your phone, girl. I actually still can't hear very well. Tammy, can you hear me well? Chris Tame, can you hear me, brother? Can you just give us a thumbs up?
I might go somewhere quieter.
Could you? I don't know if it's that. I think it's, I don't know what it is. Now, team, watch the movie Pay It Forward, because the theory in the movie Pay It Forward is, if you haven't watched, I'm going to spoil it for you right now. It's about a kid who gets a high school assignment, and the high school assignment is to go out and do things for people who can't do anything in return. So this kid does. He brings home a homeless person. He saves a life, and he does these three things for this school project and changes the world. Yeah, too hard to explain it to you, but it's an amazing, amazing movie. Hello, Georgia Louise. And the precept of the movie, or the concept of the movie, and the construct around what this kid's doing is that there is no way in the world that these people could have repaid his generosity, his care factor. But he did what it took, and he made a difference to people's lives. So, really, 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 really cool story. Pay it forward, and that's what giving is. Giving by giving a shit. Now, Ros, am I coming through at your end? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's breaking up a little bit. Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can. That's fantastic. Right,
I've just moved. It's very noisy at the light box. Yeah, I just got in the car because there's like 400 people at the light box.
Righto. So I'm just talking about care factor high, Ros, and what I'm going to say is that I just made a start that
cleaning my
care
screen.
factor. Holy shit, bro. Good. Yeah, I hope everyone out there is a bit patient with it. Stay strong, team. Stay strong. So care factor is about giving a shit and giving to people that can't give back, right? So that's element number one. So talk me through it, girl. You're a pretty giving sort of an individual. Can you think of a time when you might have done that? What's that mean to you, giving and care factor high, giving just because you give a shit? No one, people can't return the favour. What's that mean to you?
I'm of the opinion that you're not genuinely giving unless you do it without expecting something in return. So it's I think it gives you more joy to give to somebody without expecting something in return than if you do. It's a very selfish thing to give just to expect something in return.
Mm. And there's this whole thing, Ros, about there's a lot of research being done about happiness, right? And that giving actually makes us happy if we give for the right reasons.
Definitely.
And it makes me sort of think about this one particular time. Have I told you the story about when I was in Adelaide and I met those two young uni students?
No, I don't think so.
So I was having brekkie. I was working down there, giving, never expecting in return. From Lorraine, how are you, girl? Anne Zahn, Jason Hartwell's on. Who else is on? Natalie Adler and Peterson. Holy shit. I think I've called everyone else out. Get this. So I'm in Adelaide and I'm working for the South Australian government, David Carmody, Nudgy Boy. And I was having breakfast with the client. And I walk out of this little cafe. She pays for breakfast. And I was gonna, and she pays for brekkie. And I actually had $20 in my hand. So I said, oh, what am I going to do with this money? Because I was really grateful and because I expected to pay. But there's this whole thing around probity now. You're not allowed to pay for anything for government people because they think you're bribing them. Really?
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, true story. Anyway.
The world's gone mad, Anton.
What's that?
The world's gone mad.
Well, it has gone in more ways than one, girl. So anyway, I walk out of this cafe and there's these two young female uni students there. And it was really weird because they thought I was coming onto them, which was interesting. My wife just tried to call it, so I took it out for a second. Anyway, I'm just on a mission today. Someone just returned to me. Not even return for you. What a man says, right. Someone wrote a song about that, right? And I said to these girls, can I do something for you? And one of them looked at me and said, yeah, absolutely. She wanted the $20. And the other one's like looking at her as if to say, shit, I want the $20 too. And I said, that's all right, share it between the two of you. And what was interesting was they were looking at me a bit funny at the start. And they actually said to me, it was really interesting because they were so grateful. Oh, thank you. And they said, and it was an interesting thing they asked me why. Why did you just do that, Chan? Now, they're only probably 20-year-old. And as excited as they were, they said, why would you do that? Why would you just give two complete strangers $20? I said, a couple of reasons. The first reason is that you're uni students, because they had books under their arms. And I said, I've got two sons at uni, which I had at the time. And I said, I know to them $20 is a lot of money, right? And they said, absolutely, good on you, champ. We're going to go and, get coffee or something. And I said, the other reason is your jeans are all ripped, girls. Go and get yourself a new pair of freaking dunks, for God's sake. They looked at me as a bit funny, as if to say,
they would have paid good money for those ripped jeans,
Oh, I know. But I said to them, go and get yourself a new pair of duds, girl. They're worn out, them ones. And it was funny because it was a really great little moment in time. And I'll never see those girls again, don't want to. It was just someone did a nice turn for me, so I paid the favour forward.
And they would have been surprised. They were expecting that you were doing that to get something in return.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
And it helped because I actually had a suit and tie on, so I sort of probably looked a bit professional, so I didn't look like I looked like someone who wasn't going to do anything wrong, right?
Yeah.
But it was just a nice little moment. And you know what? I'm going to tell you another story. I've actually tried doing that since then.
Yeah.
And I tried it in Adelaide again. This time, seriously, with $50. True story.
Wow.
And the reason I tried, I couldn't give it away.
Wow.
You know why? People said, look, mate, there's another couple of temporary Australians. And so I couldn't give it away. And you know what, this girl, it was a bloke actually, you know what he said? He said, mate, do me a favour, can you go and give it to charity? That'd be my way of paying it forward. Instead of giving it to
Oh,
me, I don't
wow.
need it. Can you give it to charity? I said, absolutely. So we do. But it's not, and it's not about me really. It's just about, you know, the fact that we can give stuff away. And the way that I got that idea, Roz, about giving money away, was I read the book, The Power. Have you ever read the book, The Power?
I think you've told me about it. I haven't read that one yet.
Oh, do it, girl. And Lorraine Bentley, good on you, Lorraine. We need more nice moments.
We do,
We
Lorraine.
absolutely. They're called magic moments, I reckon, Lorraine.
They are, and you know,
And
you experience so many great, moments of people caring and giving without expecting things in return. And you don't have to go far from home, especially in Gladstone, for, you know, when you see how many people are volunteering, when you see how many people give blood, when you see how many people helps, you know. I read an article in the paper this week about the young family whose little 5-year-old burnt their house down. And they were so grateful for all the help that the Gladstone community have given them. And I think we have so many examples in our area here of people who really step up when someone gets in trouble and needs a hand.
I know, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, where was that house? That house wasn't on Mellifont Street, was it?
I think it was West Gladstone. I'm not exactly sure of the address.
There was one just down the road from our place at Mellifont Street that burnt down recently.
That possibly was it. I can't remember the address.
Righto, cool. Yeah, so I'll tell you what I'm doing in Sydney this weekend, Ross.
Yeah.
And the reason that I talk about care factor today, another temporary Australian, I'm looking for a Woolies. I'm going to go and buy some Woolies vouchers, and I'm staying at Central Station, and I'm actually going to go and give them away to. Hello, Robert Starr. Thumbs up to you, champion. Guy
Hey,
Dugdale,
Robert.
all the way from far north Queensland. We have food and a roof and clothing, much more than some. Every little bit helps. And David Gallagher. So I'm going to go and find a Woolies and buy some Woolies vouchers, and I'm going to give them away to the homeless people while I'm down here. I know it's not a big
That's a
thing, won't
great
make
idea.
a difference, but I want to go and
Oh, it'll
ask them.
make a difference to those people.
Yeah, I hope so. And the reason is I want to ask them about happiness, like, because I'm really intrigued about happiness, and as you know, I'm lucky enough that I get to speak to people in businesses at high levels all the time, and I ask them about happiness, and I know how they feel about it. And I've asked you about happiness, and you're one of the happiest people I know. So I'm going to go and find the other end of the spectrum and find out whether people that don't have a roof over their head, like Lorraine just said,
Like
we got
Lorraine
food.
said.
I want to go and find out what makes people tick, you know, and some people who are struggling, and whether maybe they're happy, who knows? They might be happy with their lot in life. I'm going to go
Well,
and
they
find
might
out.
be.
So
That's a great thing to do.
I'll report back next Friday on how it's gone.
That would be great. I'd be intrigued to see how those conversations go, because I think we have a perception that, you know, there's people who don't have very much and you would assume they're not happy. But to
That's
actually
right.
speak with them person to person like you're going to, I think it'll be really great to actually hear their side of what they need in their life to be happy.
Yes. That's the thing, eh? I'm really, really intrigued because who knows? They might be the happiest people on the planet. That, you know, it's a lifestyle,
Exactly.
right? And I'm going to soon find out. And if they're not, what is it? Do they? You know what? This is my theory in life, Rob. This is my theory in life: is that for people like that, their wants and their needs are going to be a lot less than yours and mine.
And I think that, you know, when you don't have much, it doesn't take much to bring some happiness into your life. And, you know, that sometimes the most grateful people are the people who you just don't have to do very much for them, and the gratitude that they show for just one small, and it could be as simple as a phone call, Anton, you know, a phone call to someone who's not doing well, or, you know, just drop in a bunch of flowers, or even just ask them if they're okay. There's
Yeah, are you okay?
there's a real lot in that.
Yeah, good call. And you know what I love about what you just said then? Happiness means different things to different people. We quite often have too much stuff. Yeah, I agree. We got way too much
We
stuff.
do.
Mind you, you can never have too many triathlon bikes, Ross.
Hi, Lulu. Smile every day as everything can look better the next day. Give and help people. I totally agree. Just be the best caring person you can be. Plus, don't forget yourself either. Absolutely, Lulu. Lulu is a very giving person. She's lovely.
Love
Thank you for
Lulu.
that.
There's 2 points
Thanks, Lou.
in that, Ross. There's 2 points in that. And the first one is everything gets better the next day. Absolutely. Can I just tell you something about, and again, what you self first, Lorraine, absolutely. It's very hard to give other people care if you don't care for yourself, because that'll show up in your behaviour and in your
Yes.
psyche. What's interesting, Ros, is that, like you said, go and ask someone if they're okay, right? Here's the deal. I think that care factor takes effort.
Yes. Absolutely.
So you've got to go out of your way. You've got to go and you got to you stop thinking about yourself and focusing on yourself for 5 minutes and focus on someone else and saying, how does someone else need me?
And I think that's true, Anton. I think, there's statements that we say off the cuff all the time. When you run into someone, hi, how are you going? But are you genuinely ask them how they're going? To actually
Yeah,
recognize that someone's not themselves and to be able to say, are you having a bad day? It digs a bit deeper than just saying, how you going? And then not waiting for an answer. So, I think it's
100%.
really important to recognize that. And it doesn't even have to be somebody that you know. I've
No,
walked into shops before and someone's not in the greatest mood. And one of the best questions you can ask them, are you having a bad day? You
oh,
know, you just don't
so
know.
true. And like you and I were talking last week in customer service, they have shitty days all the time.
Yeah, they do. And sometimes we all do. All have really bad days. But, I had a pretty bad rough day yesterday, actually. And, Barb, one of my best friends, and we worked together. And, just to have somebody to talk and recognize that my dad actually has had a small tumor on his kidney. And we heard this week that they thought after an ultrasound that it had grown. And the specialist said, we'll check with an MRI to make sure, that it matches the ultrasound, and if so, you'll have to have your kidney out, which shocked us all. And we've been expecting that before Christmas he'd have to go to Brisbane to have a kidney removed. And just one piece of great news at the end of the day, Mum rang and said they'd gotten the results back, and he didn't have to have his kidney removed now. They're going to wait another 12 months. So, just to have someone actually ask, are you okay, and know that there was stuff going on in my family, and to have someone close to be able to be given the opportunity to speak about what I was going through, because you're trying to concentrate on work and you're pushing everything to the back of your mind. But, people who recognize that you're not yourself and they actually ask the question, are you okay? You don't seem yourself, or are you having a bad day? Sometimes that's all it takes, and that shows real care factor.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what's interesting about what you said then, Ross, is that, like I'm down here, I've come to Sydney to do a little bit something different, just to do a bit of care factor stuff. It's so easy to do it for people close to you. You don't have to
Mm,
you don't have to walk outside your front door to have high care factor. Listen to your wife, and actually care about what she's saying, not just not encouraging, like, actually listen, turn on a bit, right?
yes,
So yeah, no, that's exactly right. And when you know people well enough, you notice a difference, right? And it still
definitely.
takes effort. Can you believe I was actually I was on a speakers card today of 3 speakers. One mental health, one heart health, and mine obviously safety. And the men's health and the mental health it's a topic that's going nuts for us, eh? It really is. And I still think if we as males had higher care factor for each other, I don't think it's the male that's not being able to talk about it. I think it's the rest of us peanuts out there that aren't good listeners. I still think that the more I get around.
It's a
And I
tough
think,
one with men, isn't it? And I mean, obviously, not being a man, I don't really understand it. But I've, I've always questioned, what is it within the male species that makes it difficult to open up and talk about those things? And is it that, is it that concern that, I don't want to talk about it because I will appear to be weak? It's a really tough one especially for men's mental health.
No, I get that. My philosophy on it, my hypothesis is that girls always chat. Absolutely. My
Yeah, they do,
hypothesis
Lorraine.
is my hypothesis is males aren't good listeners. They want to fix shit up all the time. And I had a bloke say to me in a session the other day, Anton, bloke was talking to me the other day and he had all these problems and he said I couldn't fix it. I said, you don't have to fix it, bro. You just got to listen, man. So males, we try to fix shit up, right? Sometimes, to me, care factor high is just taking the time. Again, it takes effort to actually listen to someone, but listen properly, not just skin deep listening, like really deep listening.
Do you think that discourages guys from opening up though? I mean, if guys know that they're not, they're really not great listeners, what would
Yep.
encourage you to open up it within a group of men if you know that you're not going to be heard? I mean, is there
Well, you
something in
wouldn't.
that? Because
I,
if you're not going to be heard, you know that you're probably not going to speak up.
I agree. And I think, the more we talk about it now and more we're on to this topic of what care factor high really is, to me, you can actually feel that from another male. Like, that connection that you get with other girlies. Lucille Oliver's given a kiss. Back at you,
Hey,
Lucille.
Lucille. Hey, Robin.
I reckon. And Bill and Gemma Granger. Oh, Geiger, sorry. How are you, team? They got a beautiful daughter. Beautiful daughter. Now, to me, as as a woman, how you get into rapport really fast and you can feel it. Well, guess what? Males can feel that too when we got a connection with another male. And some males don't let their guard down enough to let you in, right? And
Yeah.
that's a problem because some males, seriously, and I'm going to say a higher percentage of males than females, males, they're too selfish, they're too self-centered, they're too focused on themselves, I reckon, and what other people think of them. Seriously, to actually open their heart up and say, well, you know what? Tell me, brother, I'm here to help. I'm here for you, just to be vulnerable, and it's all right to be vulnerable as males. And that's what I just have a belief that males, if they're willing to learn from each other, if they're willing to listen and just care for each other, males would open up. I just think it just takes a willingness and a vulnerability that a lot of males don't have. Someone like John Sorotti, who's a great listener because he is
Yeah,
a coach.
he is.
And they're the sort of people you feel like you can talk to, right?
So, like Lorraine just said, where does that change? Is it with the way we raise our sons? Like, do we
Yep.
start it from that level? How do we, the adult male population? How do you actually change that? How do you make men better listeners if that's what the issue is? How do we get that message across? As far as it's okay to talk about it, even if you don't feel like you're going to have someone to hear you or listen. I mean, if it doesn't change, obviously guys just will continue to shut down and not speak about things. And that's a real issue if it's ongoing.
It's a great question, girl. And how do we get males to actually be better listeners? I think, I love the saying, sensitive new age guys. I love that saying because I think it's real. I actually think it's a real thing, a snag. And I think, you know what? Here's my thoughts on this, Roz. I think the next generation coming through, like your kids and my kids, are going to be better listeners than me and my buddies are.
I
Like you imagine,
totally agree. Totally agree.
like Zachy and Tobes and Brendan,
Brendan,
right?
yeah.
They're just good human beings. And like, you've been out with Zachy boy, and he actually gives a shit about other people. Like he actually,
Oh, he absolutely does.
and I talk about Brendan, I just don't know Brendan. So, and I'm sure you've raised Brendan the same way. And I think,
He's very similar to Zach, actually, like that. So, yeah.
and I'm not giving us a rap here. What I'm saying is, I think generationally, we were raised, my generation was raised to toughen up, to harden up. And I think that's not to talk about your feelings, but it's also not to listen to other people's feelings, because they're supposed to be tough too. And if they're telling you about something that's deep and meaningful, well that doesn't make sense, because you can't listen to that shit because they're not tough either.
Oh, and I think you're right. I think the next generation that's coming through, and I even see that with the kids as they were going through high school. And I truly believe, with the situation they've had to deal with. And we spoke recently about, suicide and male depression. And I just see a difference in the way that these kids speak to each other. And, the other thing that I see within that age group that is completely different to what we actually experienced at that age is that the girls and the boys actually socialize a lot better than we did. There was a real separation when we were teenagers at school. You just didn't associate with the boys the way that they do nowadays. They have these great groups of male and female friends, and that's carried them through to their 20s. And the relationships that they form now and what they actually talk about and what they're open about, they're a lot more, they have this amazing acceptance of anyone who, is homosexual, or anybody,
Different.
who's different, transgender, anybody that dresses differently. And I think that we maybe have allowed them to, form their own opinions. And I mean, it can be hard to live with sometimes when they're so opinionated, but I think we've really raised this generation of kids who are probably more aware of, which has encouraged them to speak freely between each other. I've got, my daughter who has a lot of male friends from high school, and they still all keep in touch. And, the girls and the boys at that age are having conversations that we would never have had with boys, about our feelings and everything. So I think you're right. We definitely have got a different generation coming through who could probably teach our generation a lot.
We got to learn from them, Ross. That's my theory.
Definitely. Absolutely. 100% agree.
Hey, Ross, my battery's about to go flat, girl. I reckon this is a topic we should pick up next week. Can we do Care Factor
Absolutely.
Part 2 next week?
Yes, definitely. I think that's great. And are you in town next week?
No, I'm not back next week either. We'll be doing this from
Okay.
Noosa next week. Noosa.
Oh, that sounds great. No,
Very
at
good,
least
girl.
we can do them from a distance. So thanks, Anton. Thanks everyone for watching, and have a great weekend.
Hugs.
Bye. See ya.
See you, love.